My guest today is author and researcher Theo Paijmans. His publications include his book, Free Energy Pioneer, John Worrell Keeley, as well as he has an upcoming publication called The Vril Society, and he is a former editor of Blend magazine. Now, if you are interested in the occult history of technology, I highly recommend this book. We've got him on the show. So Theo, welcome to the show. Now, please talk to us a little bit about some of the occult circles, throughout the centuries across Europe and the world, and a little bit about, how we might see their influence sprinkled throughout society today.
Well, first of all, pleased that you have me on your show. And well, in the 19th century, was very formative to the way our society has become. And coinciding, or not, perhaps, in the 19th century, we see the advent of a number of occult orders and secret societies who became very influential. Now, we can even see that influence today, although a lot of us, we don't actually realize it because we are laymen. But if we look slightly behind the way things are today, and if we know what and where to look for, we see little hints, we see symbols, we see all kinds of clues peppered and left behind by these secret societies and occult orders for their followers and for the subsequent generations. And what we see then is that, well, a large part of the way society is today has been not only predicted by these occult orders, but also steered, and oftentimes with dire consequences. And we must also keep in mind that this new term that, is sometimes floating around, which I find very interesting, which is called the breakaway civilization, we must realize that the breaking away of an alternative civilization started much earlier than is usually thought of and originated from these secret societies and occult orders.
And so what would they discuss at some of their meetings? What were they really interested in?
They were interested in man. Well, basically, they were interested in man, and that means certain representatives of man, not the entirety of mankind, but certain elite members of man, to become like God-man. We see that, for instance, in a Victorian novel by an author named Bulwer Lytton. He wrote a novel in 1871, and the novel is called The Coming Race, and it describes some kind of underground race of humanoid beings superior to us men. And they harness this incredible energy force, which is called Vril. They would also discuss other unseen energetic forces like the odyllic force, like mesmerism. They would discuss ectoplasm. They would hold seances to talk not only with the spirits of their deceased ancestors, but also to contact extraterrestrial intelligences on other planets. Now, all this was discussed in the 19th century. People often have a perception of occultism in the 19th century that it was all some kind of old-fashioned, outmoded affair, but it was not. You would be amazed and astounded what those people did in these avant-garde circles, the kind of experiments that they conducted. It was truly an era of unprecedented discovery, and much of what the occult world is into today still rests upon what was discovered back then. And we must also not forget that if you look at, say, for instance, the UFO phenomenon, the first time that there were large waves of unexplained aerial phenomena and unexplained flying objects was in the 19th century. So we see an advent of technology, we see an upsurge in strange parts of occultism, we see the proto-UFO phenomenon really taking off. Now, what do all these strange mean when you combine them together? We dream of traveling to the stars, but as far as we know, we don't have the technical capability of traveling to the stars. Now, I always say that if there is a faster than light drive, and if you wanted to look in man's history, in our history, where such a device might have been invented, I always say go back to the 19th century and start there, and then proceed to the 1930s, because in that time frame we see Einstein with his fabulous theories and theorems. We see a lot of scientists with truly incredible breakthroughs. In fact, even today I had a discussion with people, and we were of the opinion that man back then seemed to be smarter than we are now. because now we are surrounded with all this technology. I mean, I can Skype you, you can Skype me, we can do this interview. But then again, nobody actually knows how this technology actually works. And if it breaks down, we can't even repair it. We have to go to the store and buy new stuff. So in fact, yes, our technology is maybe better than it was, let's say different than it was then in the 19th century, but at the same time, it makes us more as a slave. So I think, coming back to what I said previously, in the 19th century, these people had incredible ideas, they had incredible visions, but they simply lacked the tools and the means. But what they also had, and that is also one of the functions of occult orders, they had patience. They could plot lines over generations. And that is one of the aims and the functions of an order, to pass forward the torch, to keep a body of knowledge incorruptible, and to protect it and to pass it onward to the next generation, or at least to the representatives of the next generation who they deem are worthy of receiving that body of knowledge. And well, in there, you see now that currently some strange of our technology are beginning to realize what those people in the 19th century actually thought of. So this is interesting. There were members like a famous British scientist, Crookes, from England. He was a very famous British scientist. In America, we have, since American society does not know nobility, but they do know very rich tycoons. There was John Jacob Astor, who died on the Titanic. We had a wealthy industrialist in Germany, Karl Kellner, who had even a number of patents on his name. So we see that the most influential members of the esoteric orders belonged to the upper echelons in society.
Now, we just have a few more minutes left, so can you briefly tell us about what you've got coming up? Because you are researching almost this Vril that you mentioned. So briefly tell us about what you've got coming up.
I have been researching the most secret German order that has ever been into existence, which is called the Vril Society, for 30 years now. And finally, I was able to, much to my pleasantry, I was finally able to solve the mystery by gaining access to a secret archive with original documents. Just recently, I went to a place in Germany, which was a castle acquired by the Dark Lord of the SS, Heinrich Himmler, which was his Dark Camelot, and which was to be his center of the world. And it's all part of my my research, and this will come out in the book that will be released in February next year. And there we will be reading what the Vril Society was really into. They were not into old magic like drawing pentagrams and mumbling to mumbo-jumbo demons. No, their brand of occultism was entirely strange, something we could almost compare to extraterrestrial technology, only in that difference that it originated here on Earth.
Right, yeah, I recall reading about stuff like that, that the Hitler was very interested in this extraterrestrial energy, and he sent people all across the globe really to come into contact with that wisdom, I guess, that was out there spread across the earth. Well, thank you so much. Theo Paijmans, will definitely have you back for sure to talk about this. Well, that was all very interesting indeed. Now, we actually had Theo Paijmans on the show because we're going to be doing a more in-depth report, getting into the occult history, the technological occult history, and how the elite have been kind of steering the direction of this technological future that we are beginning to see built up all around us. You can sort of see that theme running its way all throughout the show tonight. So be sure to stick around for that report. It's coming up next week, and it is going to be a doozy. Now, thank you all for tuning in with us tonight. And if you are watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate that. You are definitely helping us reach as many people as possible, taking us to the next level. And you can also become a subscriber to prisonplanet.tv. Your subscription helps support this operation. You are the resistance. By helping us, we're able to bring you all the reports, the Alex Jones Show, all of our movies, our ebooks. He's able to send us on all the trips and things like that, and to be able to get people on to do these in-depth interviews with us. And of course, as always, that subscription can be shared with up to 20 people at the same time. And we surely appreciate you here at InfoWars. The whole team Thanks you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you here again Monday, 7 p.m. Central.
To celebrate the birth of our country and give a big thanks to all the info warriors out there, we are now offering free shipping on every item shipped out of the InfoWarsStore.com warehouse. That's free shipping on all t-shirts, books, and DVDs. Free shipping on Molon Labe and 1776 belt buckles, which are also 25% off while supplies last. Free shipping on all of our InfoWarsLife.com nutraceuticals. If it's in the InfoWarsStore.com warehouse, it's shipping for free, all during the month of July. It's our way of saying thanks to the true heart and soul of this operation, who stand beside us and support us. InfoWarsStore.com. Free shipping for the month of July.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.
I'm pleased that you have me on your show. And well, in the 19th century, was very formative to the way our society has become. And coinciding, or not, perhaps, in the 19th century, we see the advent of a number of occult orders and secret societies who became very influential. Now, we can even see the followers and for the subsequent generations. And what we see then is that, well, a large part of the way society is today has been not only predicted by these occult orders, but also steered, and oftentimes with dire consequences. And we must also keep in mind that this new term that, is that influence today, although a lot of us, we don't actually realize it because we are laymen. But if we look slightly behind the way things are today, and if we know what and where to look for, we see little hints, we see symbols, we see all kinds of clues peppered and left behind by these secret societies and occult orders for their...
The Occult History of Technology. I highly recommend this book. We've got him on the show. So Theo, welcome to the show. Now, please talk to us a little bit about some of the occult circles, throughout the centuries across Europe and the world, and a little bit about, how we might see their influence sprinkled throughout society today.
Well, first of all,
my guest today is author and researcher Theo Paijmans. His publications include his book, Free Energy Pioneer, John Worrell Keeley, as well as he has an upcoming publication called The Vril Society, and he is a former editor of Blend magazine. Now, if you are interested in